experiment with communities and his ideas for an alternative education and his thoughts, his unique thoughts on nationalism. Shantiniketan as a place was discovered and established by Tagore's father, Rabindranath Tagore, in 1863 as a retreat. It is still common to refer to it as an ashram. It was an ashram really, not for monastics. It was an ashram for Brahmo householders to spend some time away from their household duties in prayer and meditation. Shantiniketan is situated, for those of you who have not been, within 100 miles or 140 to 50 kilometers northwest of the city of Calcutta. It used to be a lonely spot with open and uncultivated fields stretching to the horizon. These are all archival photographs. Needless to say, it's not so lonely anymore. A shadeless red earth. It's made of laterite soil, the area there. So red earth, rocky red earth. Led to the railway station of Bolpur, within 2 miles of Shantiniketan. Bolpur is an old railway station on the south, what the British call the Southeastern Railway. The British built in the 1850s. This was the first house that was built in Shantiniketan. This was the guest house, which housed the retreatants. And Rabindranath, Tagore's father, named it Shantiniketan, abode of peace, and the place got its name from the house. Rabindranath also established a trust deed, which he also called the Shantiniketan trust deed, which provided for a prayer hall, which still exists, those of you who have been know, for an annual fair for the villagers, because it is entirely rural. It is in southern rural Bengal. For an annual fair for the villagers to bring their wares, to buy and sell, and for a school, which his son, Rabindranath, founded in 1901. So it was provided for in the trust deed, and Tagore started it, as I've said, in 1901, when he was 40 years of age. Tagore in 1904. This date is significant because Tagore joined the Swadeshi movement in 1904. Shantiniketan was founded in 1901. Tagore joined the Swadeshi movement and wrote many patriotic songs for it. It is said that he sang Bengal into a nation. Some of these songs we've been hearing during the festival. And one of those songs is indeed the national anthem of Bangladesh today. However, he left the Swadeshi movement in 1905, or just after 1905, because the movement broke out into Hindu-Muslim riots, and that came as a great shock to Tagore, who had hoped for unity and not for conflict out of Swadeshi. So he retreated into Shantiniketan. And these are some photographs of him with the students of the school. Early, as you can see, he's in his 40s and 50s at that time. These photographs are not absolutely documented with every year and every date mentioned, but work is on. So this is another picture of the Shantiniketan school children who were encouraged to be very close to nature. This is why he took the school to open land, to this lonely spot, because he wanted them away from the city, but at the same time within easy distance of the city, from where he obviously brought science, he brought laboratories, he brought libraries to Shantiniketan. So it was not that he was turning his back to modernity, nothing of that kind. However, he did believe that children would flourish and learn joyfully if they were close to nature. And activities like climbing trees was encouraged in the school. There is a lot of documentation on this. Contemporary people who taught in the first decades of Shantiniketan have actually documented how this was a common practice, that Tagore wanted them to feel nature, and so did the teachers, the early teachers of the Shantiniketan school. One of his quotations: "We may become powerful by knowledge, but we attain fullness by sympathy. The highest education is that which does not merely give us information, but makes our life in harmony with all existence." This is why he wanted them to be away from the confined classroom. He himself was a truant student of schools in Calcutta. There were many schools that were changed for him because he found it difficult to be confined in the classroom and to be taught without any connection with the environment, which he believed and complained about colonial education, English education in India. The Shantiniketan school, a playground, little girls playing, girl students playing, and as you'll see, it was and it still is an open-air school. Students took their classes in the lap of nature, under trees. Okay, this is from Sriniketan, the rural program, which he established in 1922. As I've said, just to be back to the chronology for a moment, the Shantiniketan school was founded in 1901. The international university called Vishwabharati was founded and added on to the school in 1921, and an institute of rural reconstruction for the general uplift of the villages, which had been falling into decay. The whole area had actually been destroyed to a large extent by malaria and lack of good health, lack of sanitation. So the Institute of Rural Reconstruction was where he wanted to bring science to the students, so that science was not just confined to the English knowledge of science, was not just confined to the English educated elite, but so that village boys and girls, villagers could also share this information. Tagore was one of the first to bring scientific agriculture to Sriniketan, to his estates, Tagore family estates in East Bengal, now in Bangladesh. And indeed, as early as in 1906, he sent his son, Rathindranath, and a friend's son to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign to study scientific agriculture, so that on their finishing school there, they would come back and bring scientific agriculture to the Bengal countryside, and of course, hopefully also, ultimately, this would, he hoped, establish an ideal for the whole of India. So this is Tagore with his tenants in the family estates in Shilaidaho on the banks of the great river Padma, which is, of course, the Ganges. You know, I'm very sorry about this, but in turning my PowerPoint presentation into a slide system, I see that my chronology for the slides has got a bit upset. So anyway, so bear with me. So I've already told you, just enjoy the picture. Or the pictures. So this is just after that, should have come just after that slide, and in my PowerPoint presentation it's exactly like that. But sometimes these things happen to computers and the software, which is Windows 7, and the gentleman who helped me do this is obviously an expert, but it's never absolutely certain. There are always quirks. So anyway, this slide really was meant to come after that photograph of his, which I said was significant, Tagore in 1904, which is when he joined the Swadeshi movement. And then he left it, as I said, and retreated to Shantiniketan. So he described the Shantiniketan school as an indigenous attempt to adapt modern methods of education in a truly Indian cultural environment. So I'll show you some pictures where you see the kind of life that was a way of life in Shantiniketan, combining the classical tradition, which is this. This is a classical instrumentalist who is playing the Shur Bahar, Tagore sitting by, and the Shur Bahar used to be taught at Vishwabharati. These are some community activities. I'm sorry, I'm sorry the slides are obviously not quite what they should have been in transferring it to the slide show. Anyway, no harm done. This is earlier one, I'll just show you one more time. It's really, we all know this, so most of us do. We know that floor painting is a popular way of decorating celebrations, not just in Bengal, where it is, of course, very, very popular, but also in parts of southern India and maybe in other parts of India, which I'm not absolutely sure about. So it's called Alpona, and this is students of the Shantiniketan school. This is sort of trying to build community activity, which was what Tagore believed in. There was great stress on locality and atmosphere and a simple life. So again, this is the open-air class that I had mentioned earlier. Dormitory. Simple life, as you can see, very simple life. He believed in almost, bringing the older institution of the forest school that was in existence in ancient India, from which we had the Guru Shishwa Parampara, the Tapavana idea, to Shantiniketan, because the land, the environment was very, very close to, it was the closest possible that you could get, I think, to a forest school or to a Tapavana. There was the influence of the trees, the open fields, and the seasons changing ever so starkly. The school bell of students painting frescoes on walls, murals, paintings on walls. Shantiniketan is famous for great works of art.